Bonjour or bonsoir. Welcome to another video. This is a follow-up to the previous video. I decided to do this follow-up because I'm getting a lot of views from the previous video. The view count on that video is climbing really fast. And out of all of this, I just received a new subscriber. So whoever you are who subbed to this channel, welcome aboard. I will not disappoint you. But if I bore you to death and you find my videos boring, you can just unsubscribe. Alrighty then, let's get right down to it. Okay, President-elect Donald Trump has been seeing a lot of imperialism, insanity talk, requiring pieces of land in other parts of the world. He wants to take back the Panama Canal from Panama and have it the sole property of the United States of America. He wants to absorb Canada into the U.S. and have Canada be known as the 51st state, and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will be known as Governor Justin Trudeau, or in French, Justin Trudeau. And he wants to absorb Greenland into the U.S. But, okay. And also, he wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. That's right, the Gulf of Mexico will be known as the Gulf of America. I'm going to be reading some different things from different news sources on the things that Donald Trump has been saying. I'm going to be reading things about him requiring Greenland, Canada, and the Panama Canal, and have them be part of the United States, and renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. So I'm going to be reading different things. So I'm going to be reading a lot of different news articles, starting with the BBC. And I'm on the BBC on my Apple iPad Mini 2. And it's titled, "Why Does Trump Want Greenland? And What Do Its People Think?" It reads as follows: U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has repeated his intention to take control of Greenland, the Arctic territory controlled by Denmark. Why is Trump talking about this, and why now? Where is Greenland? Greenland, the world's largest island, is located in the Arctic. It is the world's most sparsely populated territory. About 56,000 people live there, mostly indigenous Inuit people. About 80% of its territory is covered by ice, meaning most people live on the southwestern coast around the capital, Nuuk. An autonomous territory of Denmark, it is also home to Danish and U.S. military bases. The economy is mainly based on fishing. Large subsidies from the Danish government account for about a fifth of GDP. In recent years, there has been increased interest in Greenland's natural resources. Let me read this again. In recent years, there has been increased interest in Greenland's natural resources, including mining for rare earth minerals, uranium, and iron. These may become more accessible as global warming leads to some of the ice covering Greenland to melt. What is Greenland's status? Located geographically within North America, Greenland has been controlled by Denmark nearly 3,000 kilometers away for about 300 years. The island is governed as a colony until the mid-20th century. For much of this time, it remained isolated and poor. In 1953, it was made part of the Kingdom of Denmark, and Greenlanders became Danish citizens. In 1979, a referendum on home rule gave Greenland control of most policies within the territory, with Denmark retaining control over foreign affairs and defense. Why does Greenland matter to the U.S.? The U.S. has long maintained a security interest in Greenland. After Nazi Germany occupied mainland Denmark during World War II, the U.S. invaded Greenland, establishing military and radio stations across the territory. After the war, U.S. forces remained in Greenland. Puttfalk Space Base, formerly known as Tilut Air Base, has been operated by the U.S. ever since. In 1951, a defense agreement with Denmark granted the U.S. a significant role in the defense of the territory, including the right to build and maintain military bases. If Russia were to send missiles towards the U.S., the shortest route for nuclear weapons would be via the North Pole in Greenland, said Mark Jacobson, an associate professor at the Royal Danish Defence College. That's why the Puttfalk Space Base is immensely important in defending the U.S. China and Russia have begun building up their Arctic military capabilities in recent years, according to an Arctic Institute paper. The paper called for the U.S. to further develop its presence in the Arctic to counter its rivals. On Wednesday, Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said Denmark was open to discussion with the U.S., adding that Washington had legitimate interests in the region. We see a Russia that is arming itself. We see a China that is also starting to take an interest, Rasmussen said. Trump is also likely interested in the mining potential across Greenland's vast landmass, Mr. Jacob added. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to say this. Back when Donald Trump became president for the first time, he wanted to buy Greenland from Denmark, and Denmark said no. And he tried this again before he is inaugurated on the 20th of January. He tried this again, and Denmark said again no. Well, the Prime Minister of Denmark said no to him. And and going back to Donald Trump wanting to have Canada absorbed into the United States as the 51st state of the U.S. A lot of Canadian MPs from the Canadian Parliament in Ottawa responded to this. Most notably, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, or Justin Trudeau, said this on X: "There's no snowball chance in hell that Canada will be part of the United States." Okay, I found something on the New York Times that's titled 51st State, Canadians Say No Thanks. Okay, and it reads as follows. To the editor, in disheartening and dislikes Trudeau exits, you'll report that Mr. Trump responded to Mr. Trudeau's resignation by again suggesting that Canada should become America's 51st state. I'd like to thank Donald Trump for his generous offer to become part of the USA. However, most Canadians are quite happy to be living above the USA and would not ever consider taking up the offer. If we were not so polite, we would have told him to go to hell. But being polite, we would not say that. Being a good neighbor, or preferred spelling, we would like to extend a counteroffer. In view of the tenuous years ahead in the USA, we would like to bestow provincial status to any of the close-by states, such as Maine, Vermont, Michigan, Minnesota, Washington, and Oregon. What a great way to get away from crazy town that looms just a couple of weeks from now. Dennis Katoppery, Markham, Ontario. To the editor, Dear President-elect Donald Trump, after reading your post on Truth Social about Canada becoming the 51st state, I have to admit you make two very good points, and those are, number one, we would pay lower taxes, and number two, you would not impose your tariffs on our goods. Unfortunately, your post left out some things we might lose by becoming the 51st state. Number one, we would lose universal health care. Number two, our mothers and fathers would lose national maternity and prenatally benefits. Number three, our children would have to learn the drills for active shooters. Yeah, because there's a lot of mass shootings in the United States. Mass shootings happen all the time, because there's no gun control, and politicians in Washington are afraid to tackle that issue of bringing in gun control. Number four, we would have to learn to hate people who vote differently from us, which would be a little difficult since we have 5 parties in the House of Commons. Number five, I apologize, but we would have to learn to be less polite. Number six, we would have to give up the national right to an abortion. Number seven, we would have to learn to mistrust our immigrants. All in all, I think we all do, with all due respect, that most Canadians would prefer to stay just that. Dave Carlton, Windsor, Ontario. Sheer madness, Trump's Panama Canal and Greenland threats. Let me read this again. Sheer madness, Trump's Panama Canal and Greenland threats. Donald Trump's continuing threats to take over the Panama Canal and Greenland as being critical for our national security are not only sheer madness, but also could have disastrous national and international consequences. Sending troops into a foreign nation that has not attacked the U.S. is traumatizing to a declaration of war, which under the Constitution can be declared only by Congress. I would violate Vladimir Putin's claim that the invasion of Ukraine is to protect Russia's national security, give Xi Jinping a justification for invading Taiwan, and potentially encourage rogue nations like North Korea to send troops into South Korea and Iran to use its revolutionary guards against its neighbors. Lastly, it could put the U.S. into a military conflict with NATO forces. As the Treaty Article 5 comments, each member state to assist another member state if it is the victim of an armed attack, or it could spell death can for the alliance. Dick Newbert, Lashard, Pennsylvania. So a lot of Canadian leaders clapped back at Trump's threats to make Canada the 51st state of the United States. You know, a lot of them just said no. But there's some Canadians who like the idea of Canada becoming part of the U.S. You know, yeah, these Canadians who are for Canada to be part of the USA, they're just greedy and selfish. They want to copy Americans, want to be like Americans. And I'm guilty. Well, I'm a victim of these people. Because these Canadians who are delusional, who are full of it, who complain about Canada's universal healthcare system and Canada's gun laws. One Canadian told me that I'm a spoiled Westerner, and I have and I went overseas. I'm poorly traveled, or whatever he said. But those Canadians are just they're just as crazy as Donald Trump. They're just as ignorant and just nuts as he is. So I don't care about what those people think. But even though I don't take sides, but you know I kind of agree with the Canadians who prefer to live in their home country instead of having their country be part of the United States of America. Yeah, Canadian MPs in Parliament Hill in Ottawa, like Jutme Singh, um, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and Pierre Poilievre. These three people made it clear to Donald Trump that they are not interested in having Canada be part of the USA. Yeah, and if Canada became if it became a piece of the USA, if it becomes part of the United States, um, Canada and Canadians would give up a lot of things that make Canada the country that it is. Things like they will lose their universal health care system, their single payer um, national universal health care system. They will lose that, and mother and fathers will lose national maternity and paternity benefits. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. The Canadian children will have to learn the drills for active shooters. You have to go through mass shooting drills and learn them. Yeah, because their schools are going to be subject to mass shootings like schools here in the U.S. And they will have to learn to hate people who vote differently from them, which would be a little difficult they have since the Canadian Parliament or Canada's parliamentary system, parliamentary democracy has five parties in the House of Commons, which is part of the Canadian Parliament. And they will have to be less polite. They will give up the national right to an abortion for women. They will mistrust the immigrants. Yeah, Canadians will have to give all of that up if their country becomes another state here in the US of A. Like I said again, Canada doesn't need to be part of the USA. Canada should remain an independent country, a country that's part of the Commonwealth of Nations. And oh yeah, and they have to give up they have to leave the Commonwealth, and get rid of their head of state, their monarch, King Charles III. Canada doesn't have to leave the Commonwealth of Nations, and they don't need to get rid of King Charles III. Just because the United States of America rebelled against Britain as the 13 British colonies hugging the east coast of North America doesn't mean Canada got to do the same. Canada should remain Canada, and it shouldn't be part of the United States of America. They don't need to be part of a violent, too violent, undereducated, over-policed, slap-happy mass shootings, school shootings, dysfunctional, broken, bureaucratic healthcare system, weird, psychotic, mean-spirited gaslighting, dysfunctional, broken, screwed up country. Canada doesn't need to be part of that country. A country that has a flag with stars and stripes on it. Red, white, and blue. And that goes for Greenland. Greenland doesn't need to be part of the United States. Greenland should remain part of the Kingdom of Denmark, or as I heard, they want to be an independent country and break away from Denmark. And it's up to the Greenlanders in Greenland to decide if they want to remain part of Denmark or become an independent country. That's the choice that's on the table for Greenlanders in Greenland. Being part of the United States of America is not something that's on the table. That's a crazy, whacked out, ridiculous, bizarre idea. Just like Canada becoming the 51st state of the United States of America, the Panama Canal should be taken away from Panama and be part of the United States of America, and renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. Donald Trump is an egomaniac and a madman. He has lost his mind. And like Justin Trudeau said, there is no snowball chance in hell that Canada is going to be part of the United States of America. Canada has its problems. Canada is not far from perfect. They have a housing crisis. Canadians are paying more for food at the grocery store, and their universal health care system is not fully funded. It doesn't cover dental, vision, hearing aids, and mental health. And there's not enough doctors and nurses to go around to meet the people's needs if they want care. Yeah, there's some Canadians who left their country and are living in other countries. They know that Canada is going downhill. But I think Canada should improve. I think Canada should just deal with its problems and just improve and be better. I think Canada should be like countries in Europe. They should take. I think the Canadian people should look for Europe for inspiration to be a better country, like improving their health care and making their social programs for regular, ordinary, everyday Canadians better. Just by looking at how countries in Europe are doing, how they treat their people with their social programs. Okay, one more before I end this video. Okay, I found something on CBS News article, and it's titled, Mexico President Trolls Trump with Mexican American Map After His Gulf of America Name Change Proposal. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum responded sarcastically on Wednesday to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's proposal to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Standing before a 17th century world map in her daily press briefing, Sheinbaum responded dryly that North America should be renamed Mexican America because a founding document dating from 1814 that preceded Mexico's constitution referred to it that way. That sounds nice, no? She added with a sarcastic tone. She also noted that the Gulf of Mexico had been named that way since 1607. Trump made the comments during an open-ended Mar-a-Lago press conference, during which he also didn't rule out using military or economic correlation to bring Greenland and the Panama Canal under U.S. control. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring, Trump said. That covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America. What a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. That's funny. what the president of Mexico did. Yeah. Yeah, sarcastically, like, talking and using the old map of North America over Donald Trump's ridiculous idea of changing the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. You know something, I gotta say, Donald Trump has lost his mind. He's basically a raving madman. He's a broken man. He's lost. And this guy shouldn't be president of the United States. He should be behind bars for the crimes he has committed, or he should be in a psychiatric ward. Or before that, to be put in a psychiatric ward, he should be seeing a therapist. There's some people who come onto my YouTube channel and watch my videos and tell me I have psychological problems and I need to go see a therapist. Well, I don't need to go see a therapist. People like that in Donald Trump and Doc Garcia of the YouTube channel DocGO7, these people need to go see a therapist. And all three of these people and people like that need to be locked up in a psychiatric ward. So Donald Trump has completely lost his mind. He has gone completely bonkers. He's dapset bonkers. Pure madness, insanity, ignorance, and sheer stupidity. As the French would say, stupid. So that's all I gotta say in this video. And before I end this video, I'd like to give my condolence out to people in California who lost their homes in wildfires, burning in Southern California, like in cities like Pacific Palisades, the Hollywood Hills, and Los Angeles. Well, I think the Hollywood Hills is part of Los Angeles, but I feel for those people. Wildfires they happen all the time, and they're no big deal because winds blow the fires from one part to another to spread the fire, and it happens all the time, and if you tell that to someone from New Zealand, they will clap down on you and tell you that it's no big deal. It happens all the time. Who cares? But because of climate change, and I'm not going to put these people down. These people lost everything, and I feel sorry for these people. I really do. So my condolence goes out to the people in Southern California who lost their homes in those fires, people who live in Pacific Palisades, Hollywood Hills, and Los Angeles. So that's all I got to say in this video. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. Goodbye. Cheers. Thank you for watching.